What happens when a legendary franchise panics and potentially destroys their championship window in one catastrophic afternoon? The New York Rangers may have just provided us with the most heartbreaking answer to that question. And honestly, the more I dive into this mess, the angrier I get at what appears to be organizational sabotage disguised as roster management. Jacob Trouba is gone. The captain, the leader, the heart and soul of this Rangers defense has been shipped off to Anaheim in what can only be described as a salary dump that reeks of desperation and short-sighted thinking. But here's what's making Rangers fans absolutely livid. This wasn't just a trade. This was character assassination followed by organizational betrayal. Let's start with a timeline that reveals just how dirty this whole situation became. Trouba had surgery during the offseason and was recovering, showing every indication of being ready for the upcoming campaign. Instead of supporting their captain through rehabilitation, Rangers management apparently decided he was expendable and began shopping him around like a clearance item at a garage sale. The disrespect doesn't end there. Reports suggest the Rangers didn't just trade Trouba. They actively undermined him by spreading concerns about his health and leadership to potential trade partners. Imagine being the captain of an Original Six franchise, dedicating years of your career to building something special, only to have your own front office sabotage your reputation to facilitate a trade that benefits nobody except their salary cap situation. What makes this situation absolutely infuriating is a return package. Or should I say, the complete lack thereof. The Rangers essentially paid Anaheim to take their captain off their hands. No significant prospects, no draft capital that moves a needle, nothing that suggests this trade makes the team better in any measurable way. This is organizational malpractice at its finest. Rangers management tried selling this to their fan base as a difficult but necessary business decision. But let's call it what it really is: panic management from a front office that has completely lost the plot. They've taken a team that was legitimately competing for Stanley Cups and systematically dismantled its leadership structure for salary cap relief that doesn't even address their core competitive issues. The locker room implications are staggering to consider. Igor Shesterkin, who's in the middle of contract negotiations that will determine the franchise's future, just watch his organization throw their captain under the bus for financial convenience. What message does that send about organizational loyalty? About how they treat veteran leaders who've sacrificed for the team's success? Chris Kreider and Artemi Panarin, two players who built chemistry and trust with Trouba over multiple seasons, now have to watch their defensive anchor get shipped across the continent while they're supposedly in their championship window. The psychological damage from moves like this can destroy team chemistry for years. But here's the most maddening part. The Rangers created the salary cap crisis through their own incompetent asset management. They handed out questionable contracts, failed to develop cost control talent, and now they're solving their self-created problems by trading away proven contributors who make the team better. Trouba wasn't just any defenseman. He was logging massive minutes against the league's best players, providing the kind of physical presence and leadership that you can't replace with some random free agent signing. The Rangers just traded away irreplaceable intangibles for salary cap space that they'll probably waste on overpriced veterans who won't provide half the value. The Anaheim Ducks, meanwhile, just pulled off highway robbery. They acquired a proven top-pair defenseman with leadership experience for essentially nothing. Pat Verbeek should send Chris Drury a thank you card because this is the kind of lopsided trade that can accelerate a rebuild overnight. For a franchise that bills itself as destination for elite players, this move sends exactly the wrong message. Why would any star player want to sign with an organization that treats veteran leaders like disposable assets? The Rangers just demonstrated that no player, regardless of their contribution or leadership, is safe from being dumped for financial convenience. The fan reaction has been predictably explosive, and rightfully so. These are people who invest emotionally and financially in this team, who buy season tickets and merchandise, who plan their lives around Rangers hockey. They deserve better than watching their front office dismantle a competitive roster through panic-driven decision-making. What's particularly galling is the timing. The Rangers are supposed to be capitalizing on Shesterkin's prime years, on Panarin's remaining elite seasons, on a window that won't stay open forever. Instead, they're making moves that suggest they're preparing for mediocrity rather than competing for championships. The ripple effects throughout the Eastern Conference could be significant too. Teams like the Carolina Hurricanes and Florida Panthers just watched a direct competitor weaken themselves for no apparent strategic reason. Meanwhile, the Ducks added a legitimate top-pair defenseman who could be traded again at the deadline for even more assets. This trade also raises serious questions about Chris Drury's competence as general manager. Good GMs find creative ways to manage salary cap challenges without sacrificing core contributors. They make difficult trades that hurt in the short term but benefit the organization long term. This move accomplishes neither objective. The Rangers had alternatives. They could have moved younger, more replaceable players. They could have retained salary on less impactful contracts. They could have made multiple smaller moves instead of one devastating roster subtraction. Instead, they chose the path that maximizes immediate cap relief while minimizing future competitiveness. For Trouba personally, this has to be devastating. He embraced being Rangers' captain, represented the organization with class, and played through injuries for the team's benefit. His reward? Getting shipped to a rebuilding team on the opposite coast, while management questions his health and leadership publicly. The most tragic aspect might be the wasted opportunity. The Rangers have elite goaltending, proven offensive talent, and were positioned to make legitimate Stanley Cup runs. Instead of adding complementary pieces or making strategic improvements, they've chosen organizational cowardice disguised as financial responsibility. This trade will be remembered as the moment the Rangers' championship window slammed shut, not because of competitive circumstances, but because of front office incompetence. They had everything needed to compete at the highest level and chose to dismantle it for salary cap space they didn't need to create. Moving forward, Rangers fans have every right to question this organization's commitment to winning. When you trade your captain for nothing during what should be competitive seasons, you're sending a clear message about your priorities. And those priorities apparently don't include Stanley Cup banners. What's your take on this absolute disaster of a trade? Do you think the Rangers just threw away their championship window? Or am I being too harsh on what might be necessary salary cap management? Sound off in the comments, because I genuinely want to hear how Rangers fans are processing this organizational betrayal. And don't forget to hit that like button if you're as frustrated as I am with these kinds of win-now teams making lose-later decisions.